What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Realms of Metal. Eddie here, back with you from you know where, the happiest place on earth, my metal room here in the woods in PA. We got a very special show today. We got two amazing guests back with me. We've got my man George from George G's Room of Rock back on. And we got my man Mark from Metal Never Dies. Welcome back, guys.
What's up, man?
Good to see you guys, man.
You too.
How's everything going?
Awesome. I'm awesome.
Good.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Same old.
Yeah.
Going with grind the flow. Of work. Grind of life.
So a couple weeks ago, George and I did a video of what was that video, George? 5 bands we should love but don't.
Yes. Exactly.
So this is kind of a play on that with something I suggested, which I thought could be fun because that video was pretty fun. You know,
yeah, it was.
That video, like, you know, we mentioned bands that both of us love. You know, I mentioned bands that you love that I don't think too highly of, and vice versa. So that was kind of fun to throw that out. And so I thought it would be kind of fun to list 5 bands that we once loved, but now not so much anymore. We kind of fell out of love with them. So you know how bands, you take them in and you make them yours, and you know, years pass on, records pass on, maybe you don't feel the same way about them. So yeah, these are bands that kind of fit that bill for us. So I thought this would be kind of fun. So who wants to start off? Why don't you start, Mark?
Sure, I'm going to start off. First band I put on here is Korn.
Korn?
The new metal, yeah, the new metal. I thought, like, the first time I heard their first album there, like back in '94, I think I was like grade 10 or grade 9 or something. I thought like that was like the heaviest thing on the world. It was something different compared to
definitely was.
Yeah, something that I was listening to back in the day. And you know, I thought maybe the first 3 albums were good, like the first 2 albums for sure, and then they kind of changed a little bit more radio kind of friendly, that alternative hip hop stuff. And then yeah, I think by their 4th album I just like stopped listening to them, and then heard their stuff on the radio, and it was just like became more and more commercialized. And it's just like, I know now, I think heads back, and it's just, I just stopped listening to them. I just stopped loving them.
What did you think of their dubstep record? Was there one dubstep record that they did?
I didn't listen to it. They did do a dubstep, like,
right?
Like, yeah, they did. Yeah, I mean that whole, I think after like the 4th album, yeah, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And I know they did a bunch of stuff, and I know Head came back, but I still didn't. I didn't go back. Like, I didn't go back and listen to any of their stuff. So yeah, I'm picking Korn. Yeah.
What do you think of Korn, George?
Korn. Never listened to Korn.
No, huh?
Never. No. Mark, did you say you were 10th grade in '94?
Yeah, somewhere
around there. I'm old. I was 22 then. I'm an old man. You guys
94,
are young.
I was 19, I think. So
yeah, you're not much younger than me.
I'm hot and cold on Korn. I can listen to Korn. It's a band that I never made mine, but you know, I don't mind them. I could listen to Korn, but mainly the older stuff, I think.
Yeah.
It's a good pick. What do you got, George?
All right. Well, my first one is funny because this is one of my favorite bands ever, but they left, and then they decided to come back and basically screw over their lead guitarist, and they went on and just what they're putting out now is crap. And Mötley Crüe.
They were actually on my list too.
I love Mötley Crüe. I love it for the first 5 albums, and the Karabi album and the stuff after. Once they stopped, and I'm like, that's good. And then they went back and they kicked Mick Mars out, and then they put out that awful songs. They put out the Dogs of War, and then the remake of the Beastie Boys song.
Oh my God, that Beastie Boys awful. Cover is
like what are you doing? Like Nikki, you could write better. You could actually forgot how to write songs, I guess. I don't know how to write a fucking song. I don't know. So it's just like heartbreaking. They're still going on. They should just stop. And, you know, and we all know Vince can't sing live.
Yeah.
You know, he was never a good singer, though. He was a good frontman back in the day. But I just, you know, just totally like off the wagon with that. Like, I don't want to see him. I mean, John Five's a great guitar player, but
amazing.
It doesn't fit the band. Mick Mars is like the sound of the band.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they just put that EP out, but they haven't done a full length in what, 2008? I wrote down.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
geez, that's a long gap.
that album I like, but then they did the songs on the Dirt soundtrack, and I thought they were awful too. They covered Madonna like a virgin. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Why? I don't get it. The songs they picked were covers. Like Nikki Sixx wrote all these great songs. He just forgot. I guess I can't write songs anymore. I don't know.
Yeah.
But that
Mötley
was my
Crüe was
first record.
definitely on my list. How you feel
Yeah,
about Mötley Crüe, Mark?
it's just kind of sad because like it's like a mockery now, you know.
Yeah.
Like everybody just makes memes about Vincent Hill, like
I know.
welcome to the deli, like
Vince Meal, right?
you know. I think like ever since like was it the self-titled back in the mid 90s. I think that's where they kind of went downhill. I
Yeah.
think like yeah, like their older stuff like Dr. Feelgood, yeah, their Shout Out the Devil, like that stuff's classic stuff.
You know what
but,
blows my mind? I don't know how you guys feel about this, but people seem to love that self-titled Mötley Crüe record, the one that came out after Vince Neil. Like, I cannot get into that record. I've listened to it
I
many
like that
times.
one. I didn't like it at
Yeah.
first.
Did
I
you
like
really?
it now.
Yeah.
Well, Karabi's a better singer. Did you see that meme of I saw it so many times with Vince Neil when he's really heavy and he's in the back like from the Abominable Snowman for Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and he's attacking Rudolph? Did you ever see that meme? It's just him like this. I'm like, oh my god,
Yeah, yeah.
it was so bad. I'm like,
I don't
how so
remember
easy
seeing
to
it.
do this so
I gotta check it out.
terrible. Anyway, I had to say that. Anyway, go ahead.
It was a Generation Swine, wasn't it? Wasn't that the bad one? Was it
That's the
Generation
bad one.
Swine?
That's
Yeah.
got a lot of weird shit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one that went downhill for me. It was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'll
Crazy.
lead off with here was a band that was near and dear to my heart, especially as a teenager, and that's Anthrax. I loved Anthrax through and through, all the way through, you know, when I became a metalhead. So State of Euphoria was my first Anthrax record as a kid, you know, then I get the back catalog, and then Persistence of Time came out, which was so amazing, right? And then, you know, after that, you know, they ditch the singer, they get John Bush, and I've never been in love with Anthrax after that. Like, I've seen Anthrax with John Bush a few times. You know, I've seen them when they got Joey back. You know, they play the old classics, you know, but I just never rekindled that love for Anthrax that I had as a kid. And I also kind of feel that the people who've met, like my friends who've met Scott, Ian, and Charlie Benante, have not said good things about them. They said they were kind of like dicks when they met them. So that kind of like lingers in the back of my head, you know. But when Joey came back, he came back conveniently right before that Big Four tour. So I really believe that when they were getting that Big Four thing together, Anthrax sat in a room and said, you know, we need to get Joey back because John Bush can't be singing these classic songs. The fans don't want to hear it. So I really think there was something to that, like almost like a cash grab for Joey to come back into the band at that time. What do you guys think about Anthrax?
Well, I actually met them years ago when they put up the before All Kings came out. They had a signing up to one of the record stores that does not exist anymore. And it's just a real quick thing. You're going through the line. My wife was talking to Frankie Bello, and he's really nice.
He's one of the nicest
Really,
guys. Him and
he
Joey
was
are the
really
nicest
cool
guys.
to my wife,
Yeah.
and you know, so that was cool. But I actually saw them. You remember when Joey came back, and then they brought John back, and they brought Joey again back. That like he was in and out, like in the 2000s somewhere.
Well, they brought in this guy Dan Nelson. Remember that?
Yes,
Who didn't do a record?
It was right before Dan Nelson they joined, but they had Joey back for a little bit for the tour. I
Yes.
saw them at the Starland here in Sayreville and actually have the DVD of it because actually released it officially. So I actually have an official release when I'm actually in a crowd somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. But yeah, I agree with you though. You know, it's not the same. But I still like them, but I get your point though.
I do too. I like them, but you know, it's a band I definitely fell out of love with. You know, what do you think of Anthrax, Mark?
I still like them.
Yeah.
I got into them when John Bush was in the band. So like the whole John Bush era, like Stomp 442 and Sound of White Noise, like those were like my albums, I guess, like that I really got into Anthrax, and then I got into their earlier stuff. So like yeah, I've always been a fan of them. You know, I think now like with them, it's just like play shows, make as much money as you can, get Joey back or whatever. So
I know they're doing Pantera now. Charlie's doing Pantera,
exactly.
and they all got their different things going on. Scott Ian is with Mr. Bungle and all kinds of stuff that he does now. So
Yeah,
hopefully we're
exactly.
getting a new Anthrax record. I would love to see them come back with like a balls out thrash record.
Yeah,
I hope
yeah.
they're writing new stuff. I really do.
That album's been coming out for a while. They've been talking about it. Nothing's come out yet.
Right? I know.
No. Yeah, they've been talking about that since like the pandemic, like
Yeah, exactly.
2020, right? So
and their modern output is not very good. I mean, since Joey came back in the band, that was what 2010. They did For All Kings and what was the other one? Worship
Worship music.
Worship music. That was it. 2 full lengths in that amount of time. I mean, that's not acceptable,
No, exactly.
All right, hit us up, Mark.
Okay, next one. Okay, this next one is All That Remains.
Whoa, I just saw them.
Yeah, exactly. So the metalcore band. But yeah, I think back in the day, like in the early 2000s, I was really into the metalcore stuff. Yeah, these guys, like, they released a couple bangers, I guess, like This Darkened Heart and This Calling. And then after that, they tried to go more of a radio friendly alternative metal route, and I just never got back into them. Like, they've released some material that brought back some of that thrash and some of that melodic death metal vibe, but I just never got back into them. Just unfortunately,
that's a band who I've never been into, and I actually just saw them on this Megadeth tour that we went to on Friday, and they weren't bad. Very, very melodic, definitely metalcore-ish. They remind me of Killswitch Engage a little bit, although Killswitch Engage I think is much better. I think they write better songs, but they weren't bad. They play solos. They're talented guys. We watched their set, and we thought it was okay.
Yeah, like they have some heavy hitters, I guess. It's just they just went downhill for me. Just became a little bit more radio friendly and try to write that hit.
Yep.
And just stop paying attention to them, and your music taste just grows, right? So being into that in my early 20s, and then going back to my love for thrash and death metal nowadays, like, I don't really listen to that stuff as much now. So
I know nothing about them.
Yeah.
I know nothing about it. I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah. So many bands out there. I don't know.
I know.
Yeah, exactly.
What you got next, George?
All right. Well, this one's the only one on the list that's not a like a metal band. It's more of just a rock band. But I always liked a certain era of this band, and then the band kind of disbanded. They came back with a singer. It wasn't a very good album. Then he left, and they went on, but it just wasn't the same. It's Journey.
Journey.
I mean, you could probably nothing not what we do expect, but I love the Steve Perry era. He's got a great voice, and he just fits the band perfectly. I know they're all sappy songs, but they do have some rockers, and what they're doing now with the new singer, they just got to sound alike, kind of like what Priest did. They got to sound like Steve Perry, and they went out. But I can care less.
Speaking of Journey, isn't Joey Belladonna in a Journey cover band?
Yes,
right?
Yes, they played around. I didn't go see it, but they did play around. That's one of his biggest idols is Steve Perry.
Yeah, right.
That's what people thought when the Anthrax came out, that he doesn't fit the band. He doesn't sing like a thrash play. Things like, like a singer, like that. It didn't fit, but it did fit the music at the time for Anthrax, though. Yeah. But
I love 80s Journey, man. You can't beat it. They're just fun songs to listen to and to sing and all that stuff.
Yeah. So that's my number 2.
How you on Journey, Mark? Big fan?
Never got into them. I don't think I know a song at the moment. I heard a Journey. I just never.
Show us your Journey tattoo. Come on.
He probably just knows "Don't Stop Believing."
On my chest. It's on my chest.
But no, that's a good pick. All right, I'm gonna go. My number 2 band is gonna be. We're gonna go to Swedish death metal. We're gonna go to Entombed.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good pick.
Entombed, man. I remember buying Clandestine as a kid. That was my first Entombed. I was like, whoa, this is so good. I went and bought Left Hand Path after that. I was getting into Swedish death metal in general. And after Clandestine, you know, they went a little bit lighter. They went Wolverine Blues, which is sort of like a death and roll record, you know, rock and roll mixed with death metal. And I like that too. You know, we embraced it. You know, it wasn't Clandestine, it wasn't Left Hand Path, but we thought it was cool. And then after that, like Entombed, like went off the rails, like with some of the stuff they put out. Like after that was To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth, which was a fair record at best. Then they came out with Same Difference after that, which really lost me. It was like a rock record almost. It was awful. So like Entombed was so good in the beginning that they really had the potential to be like one of my favorite bands ever. Like that's how I felt about Entombed. But after that, I was like, oh, like I went off the Entombed train and never went back on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think last album I got was Uprising, which is I don't know what year that was.
Yeah. I mean, I know they went, as the records got on, they got a little bit more death metal back into them, but they're still a band that I could never grasp onto again after that.
Wasn't there two versions of Entombed and Entombed AD or something? What was that all about?
Yeah, because they had
I'm very confused with that.
A feud over the name, like who owned the rights to the name. So a lot of bands are doing that now. Like Nocturnus did it, Nocturnus AD.
Okay.
Entombed did it, Entombed AD.
Yeah.
So it's all fighting over the rights to use the name.
Yeah, but they definitely changed their sound. If you look at the first album cover, Left Hand Path was one of my favorite album covers by any band.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's great. And then you go look at like the one you just mentioned where it's like the oh god, what is it? The one after Shoot Straight and that one, the one after that
Same
one.
difference.
The same difference. I mean, you look at the cover, like you wouldn't know it's the same band.
Would it have a dog on the cover or something?
Yeah,
yeah.
You wouldn't even know like this is a death metal band or what was. It's crazy.
It's just that album's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Like Left Hand, I mean, Entombed. It's just I remember getting like Wolverine Blues and then getting Left Hand Path and being into this band. And I remember seeing like going to a record store and then seeing like Same Difference. It's totally different cover and buying that and putting that on. And it was just like, what the heck was this? And then they came out with Uprising, and it just never felt the same. Like I just never got back into again like that wagon or that train again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
That's funny.
Who's hit us up, Mark? What do you got next?
Okay, next one. My third pick here I have is 6 Feet Under.
Ooh.
Oh, that was on mine too.
Was it really?
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, man. Like, I mean, back in like whatever, like 98, 99, I would have defended Chris Barnes 100%. You know what I mean? He was my guy or whatever. And then was it like maybe like their fourth album, and when they started doing that, they started doing those vocals, and was it Ice T?
Ice T
Oh,
did tracks on one.
Did that track and I was
One Bullet Left.
True Carnage.
Yeah.
That album.
Yeah, True Carnage.
I like that track.
That was the album that like kind of lost me. It was just like I can't defend this guy anymore. It's just like after that, it was just like I can't.
I think that track is cool because I love Ice T, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's just I was just like I think I was off the new metal train, I guess you could say, and anything that was like that, like if I listen today, I'll probably like it, but it was just like it was by 6 Feet Under's like fourth album, and then whatever trailed off after that. Even the new album that came out like this year, I thought it was okay. It wasn't as bad, but it's still bad.
I had a hard time with it.
Bad.
Yeah,
it was bad. This was their last good album. This was their last good album. I have all their albums except for 3 of them.
100%.
Yeah, I had all except for 3 of them.
Is that the one with Torture Killer on it?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great track, man.
That's a good one. I have some of them I like, they're hit or miss, but the newer ones I was hoping would be better because I got Jack Owen in the band. I thought, it's going to be good.
Yeah,
the music's good, but then he starts singing, and I'm like, what the hell? I can't
get it.
It's terrible. It's awful. It's just awful. He's singing. I know it's death metal. That doesn't sound good, but it's just like I don't know. It's like he's coughing almost. I don't know.
I don't know if he blew his vocals. Like I have no idea what he's but he's
You know, you compare his vocals from like early Cannibal Corpse to that, you're like, he must have blown it out.
yeah,
I guess it depends on the person because what's his name from the George Curse Project is still singing the same way. You know, he sings the
amazing.
same way he did from album one. He doesn't sound any different.
Nope.
No, amazing.
He can't talk right because he talks like he's whispering. He's like fucked up his voice so much when he talks. You know, but he's still, you know, he's probably the nicest guy ever too.
I hear that about George. Yeah. I hear he's the nicest guy ever. Yeah,
that's funny.
Don't you hit us up, George, with your number 3?
Okay, well, number 3, with this artist or band, what I call it, I thought they were great when they came out, and they came out really good albums, and then he changed his style, and it's not the same. Danzig. I mean, he has some okay. I have like after he broke up the original band after the 4th album, I'm like, it's just he put up that acid, Black Acid Devil, and I thought that was just not what he should have been doing. And then he just put out some hit or miss. I have a couple of albums. I think the Circle of Snakes is the last album I liked. But then he put out stuff after, and his voice just isn't the same. And then he put out that Elvis record. Did you see that one?
Danzig sings Elvis.
You saw that, right?
I did, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. As far as he likes Elvis, there's nothing against Elvis at all. But if you had put that album out in the 80s when his voice was fine, it would have sounded fine for a novelty. But he did it in the later years, it sounds awful.
Yeah.
Awful. Get back the other original band. It was so good and it was so different at the time, you know. But only thing I like now, he's still doing the Misfit stuff. So I kind of like that. It's about all thing I like to say about him.
People call him the metal Elvis, but I always pictured him as the metal Jim Morrison for me. Like even back in the day, you know. So
exactly, yeah, that's my pick there.
But that's a good pick. That's one that I wrote down. But I'm like back in love with Danzig. Like I loved Danzig, then not for a while. Now I feel like I'm back into Danzig, loving him again, and not necessarily like the later stuff, but you know, the earlier stuff. What do you think of Danzig, Mark?
I mean, the only song that I always heard was Mother. It was on the radio.
It's all over the place, yeah.
It was all over the place. Like I used to always watch like Much Loud, like here in Canada, we had Much Music Loud, and they'll show all of our metal stuff. And they always like, if it was like every other Saturday, they would show the Mother video. It was just like, it was my time to go to the bathroom or eat some chips or something. So I never really got into Danzig. Like I listened to like that album, like his first like album and stuff like that, but I never like dove into Danzig at all. I think just like that's hearing that song just made me like kind of cringe a bit of like hearing Danzig. It's just like that's all that comes out of my head is Mother.
Wasn't that on Beavis and Butthead too? That one of those episodes, right?
Didn't he like get into a fight? Didn't he get into a fight with somebody?
Yeah, from a hardcore band. The guy knocked him out.
Knocked him out. Yeah, I remember seeing a video of that.
I forget the name of the band though.
Yeah, it's just.
I don't either. I remember if I see that video, though, it's pretty messed up.
Yeah. I think if you call yourself like I don't know, like you're the next Elvis or the metal Elvis, I think your head's like pretty big. So, you know,
it's true.
It's big. It's big shoes to fill, man. Like,
I think so. Yeah. All right, my next one is going to be another band I loved. I don't hate this band. Obviously, I still listen to them, but just I don't have the same feeling I did back in the day, and that's Suicidal Tendencies. Suicidal was another band I loved, you know, all the way up until like, you know, the mid 90s when, you know, they broke up and then Rocky George was out of the band. You know, I really feel like when Rocky never came back to the band, they really lost something. You know, he's such a, you know, he brought the crossover to Suicidal Tendencies for me. You know, he made him like more of a thrash band almost, with like Lights, Camera, Revolution. I really think that he was such an integral part of what Suicidal was back in the day, and they lost that with him. And you know, I still like him, but I think they're a shell of what they once were. Honestly, like the newer output from Suicidal is just, you know, not very good. You know, I do love Mike Muir. I think he's, you know, he's a legend, but I just can't get into the newer Suicidal, you know, and feel like the way I did about it, like the old stuff. You know, it's a band I definitely lost. my love for over the years. You know, how you guys feel?
I agree. My last thing I bought was Suicidal for Life.
Yeah.
And that was it. And
And
then
that
after
was the
that,
last record with him on it, I think, with Rocky.
yeah, that's why. They totally, you agree. Rocky George definitely made the band what they were.
Yeah.
You know, so what are you gonna do? They're still around though.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I just never got into it, into that band. I just remember hearing like he wanted a Pepsi and Pepsi.
I think I read somewhere that Rocky was actually responsible for bringing Robert Trujillo into the band, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh yeah.
He actually got Robert Trujillo in Suicidal Tendencies, and then, you know, years later he would end up going to some other band that nobody's ever heard of.
Oh my god, it's terrible.
You're up, Mark.
Okay, Fourth band I have fourth band I have here is Arch Enemy.
It's a good pick.
So I was like into them when I get into them with Burning Bridges. I think their third album.
Mhm.
I really love the first like 3 albums, and then I guess they got Angela, and I was like, what was that fourth album? Wage of Sin.
Yeah, I think so.
And I thought it was all right, and then I kind of like stopped kind of listening to Arch Enemy, and then they got a new singer. It was just never felt the same. Never really got into them like I was with the first 3 albums. Like that was probably my first couple albums into like the whole melodic death metal. I thought that was like pretty cool.
So you were a fan pre-Angela, because a lot of Arch Enemy fans were, you know,
Yeah,
fans because of Angela. You know, when
yeah.
that band was cranking. But
Yeah, I was like into Arch Enemy before Angela. Like, yeah, that Burning Bridges is probably one of my favorite like melodic death metal albums ever. So
yeah,
and then just I just never got into the whole Angela stuff. They changed their tuning and stuff like that, and I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And then it all became like how do you say it? Um, like coloring metal, I guess you could say,
Metal
like
by Numbers or something like that.
metal by numbers or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah. So it just sort of became by that. They had their formula. They just like kept on repeating it, I guess, and then now they have a new singer that I just never got into.
I don't like her at all. You know, I saw her with her old band, and she was like up on stage preaching like "don't eat meat" and all this bullshit. Like, I don't want to hear that. You know,
I played with her like back in the day, like with their The Agonist, like they're from like
The Agonists. That was the band. Yeah.
We did a bunch of shows with them, and it was just
They opened up for Napalm Death in New York City, believe it or not.
yeah.
That's when I saw them.
Napalm Death.
What do you think of Arch Enemy, George? You were a fan?
Well, I only have the ones with Angela. It's only out my own.
Those are the ones that I like too. You know,
I like
guilty.
those. Chaos Legion isn't the best one, but the other ones before that I like. I actually never heard their first two with the other singer, so maybe I have to check them out. But the ones they Angela, I like those 3 or whatever they are with her. I thought they were really good, but
yeah.
Let's check out the Burning Bridges. I never heard that one. I heard one song. I actually go back and listen to it though.
I've seen them a bunch too with Angela. I've never seen them with the original singer, but they were on the Gigantor, one of the Gigantors with Mustaine. We saw that multiple times on that tour. My wife and I saw them open. I saw Exodus open up for them in New York City at the PlayStation Theater, wherever the hell it was then. PlayStation Theater, Nokia Theater, I don't know, but they were good. So I dig them. I don't like them now only because I don't like the new singer, but I do like the Angela stuff.
I don't like the new singer either.
Yeah.
So I just think they put more melody, not she like actually clean sings, and I'm like, that's maybe it turns me off for that kind of band, I guess. I don't know.
What do you got next, George?
All right. This one here is funny because it's basically they're called a legendary band, and they basically have any output. Guns N' Roses.
I thought about them too.
I like it's a classic, and then they, I like the Lies EP they put out, and then the other album, the Use Your Illusion. The both of them, they're okay. They could probably put one album instead of those two bloated albums, and then they did Chinese Democracy, and that's it.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't bother to buy that. And then now I heard my friends went to see them a couple months, and he walked out. He said they were terrible live.
Really? No
Oh
kidding.
wow.
Yeah, he said that he was a big fan of them because he saw them. He saw them back when they opened for Aerosmith and Deep Purple, back in before they broke really big, and they were fantastic then. They were hungry then, but then Axl gets thrown bloated stuff. It's just not. I don't hate them. I don't reach for them much anymore. I don't like what they're doing now. I don't like the new songs they're putting out. They're putting out sporadic songs. They tease an album, but there's nothing coming out. Like you've had all these years you've been together. You have put an album out. I just don't get it. They people buy it, be a cash bank for them. But I don't know. Yeah, so that's why I picked Guns N' Roses.
Man, I think Appetite is one of the best hard rock albums of all time, but
Absolutely.
I did write it down, but it was a band I never really loved, I liked them. I didn't love them, so I didn't include them on mine, but Appetite is freaking lights out, man. It really is.
Yeah.
What do you think of Guns N' Roses, Mark?
Oh, that first Appetite is just one of the best hard rock albums ever. And when you say Guns N' Roses, that's the album, and then that's it.
Yeah. I liked the Lies EP. I thought the Lies EP was really cool, like the acoustic stuff they did on it. The Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, like you said, George, they could have made one decent record.
Yeah,
I really think they could.
Yeah,
maybe not even make one decent record. I think there's like 6 tracks on both of those, part 1 and part 2, that I actually like, and 2 of them are covers. So I don't know. You Could Be Mine, the one they used for Terminator 2, is the best song on those 2 records. That's the Guns N' Roses that I wish stayed going forward, writing songs like that.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, so I'll give my number 4. Another band I loved as a kid, all the way up until and including the Crimson Idol, and that's W.A.S.P. Loved W.A.S.P. The early W.A.S.P. is so good. And then it seemed like after the Crimson Idol, they kind of took a step down in songwriting. And, I did listen to those records, but they seemed only to get like worse and worse for me, like KFD, Hell Dorado, and I just lost it for W.A.S.P., man. So I think Blackie's a great songwriter, or at least he was back in the day. But just a band that I lost my love for, even way back then in like the mid 90s, I lost it for them, and I never got it back.
Yeah, I actually like KFD.
Did you really?
It's the one after that was terrible. Well, it's
Yeah.
just very, very, very childish, I guess, in their songwriting. But the KFD was very different. People don't like it, and I understand. It's very industrial sounding, but I thought the songs were good. And then they had hit or miss through I have all their albums, but
Yeah.
the one I did like is the one before the last album was Golgotha. That's like 2015 already. But the one before that was Babylon. And what I did like is they went back to just putting 10 songs on an album.
Yeah.
Instead of putting like 15, 16, 17 songs on an album, you're like, all right, that's enough. I don't need to have an hour and a half of this shit. 10 songs and your album's done. That's all you need, 40 minutes, and the album's done. That's what I liked about it.
Golgotha
anyway,
was 2015. They haven't released anything new since then, right?
No.
All right.
Who knows?
But one thing I will say is the Crimson Idol was very different from the Headless Children. Like the Crimson Idol was almost like a story, like a rock opera almost.
Well, Chris Hall was out of the band then.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I really liked Crimson Idol, but that was unfortunately the last thing I really liked from them.
Yeah.
How you feel about W.A.S.P., Mark?
never got into them.
No, huh?
No, I think I heard a song or two. I just never. I think I saw a video.
Here's a good question for you, George. Which early W.A.S.P. record would you recommend to somebody not into W.A.S.P.?
Recommend it. Wouldn't be my favorite, but I said the first one.
The self-titled?
Self-titled, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite is the Last Command, but the first one is definitely, when you get to W.A.S.P., that's the first one to listen to.
That's the great thing about W.A.S.P. I would say the Headless Children. So that's how you know their catalog is so good, when people are throwing different records out at you, saying, let's start here, start here.
Yep. Sometimes people get past
I'll give it a try. I'll listen to the first album.
You'll like it. You'll like that, Mark. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, we got our last round coming up. Let's make it a doozy. Hit us.
Okay, I got like last one I have here is Killswitch Engage,
Ooh,
another metalcore band, I guess. And again, I was into that stuff. Their first, I guess it's their second album. Alive or Just Breathing is it's a banger. I think it's
amazing.
amazing album. Even the album after that when they had got Howard Jones singing there.
I love that guy.
Uh,
I think
yeah,
he's
yeah,
great.
yeah. The End of Heartache, like that's another good album. But I think after that they kind of became a little bit more commercial, a little bit more
Yeah.
try to hit that hit right, and kind of fell out of love with them. And then Jesse Leach kind of came back, and then I think by that time I was like kind of not into metalcore as much. I had a girlfriend, so I wasn't crying about an ex-girlfriend anymore. So
Get in touch with your
life was
feelings,
going
Mark.
life was going good. So.
That's great.
I was on the fence with Killswitch Engage for a while, and then I saw them open up for Slayer, and they fucking killed it. They were amazing. Like Howard was amazing.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
they sold me at that show. I'm like, you know what? I like this band now, and I
Yeah.
went out and bought some of their stuff. But I think they've written some really good stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I think,
some bangers there.
I get why all they have their fan base is the way it is. I think they're a good band. I mean, their guitar player, what's his name, Adam?
Adam D, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he's sort of a clown on stage,
yeah. Oh yeah,
doing stupid, jokey stuff on stage. But he is who he is.
yeah.
I like them.
I think one time I saw them and he dressed up as Superman.
What?
I thought it was pretty hilarious.
That's funny.
What do you think of Killswitch, George?
Not much. Don't know
Oh,
much about him.
you know,
So I've heard a couple songs. It's not really my bag.
yeah.
But I heard different things from people how they like what era. Like he said, Mark said one era better than the other era. They changed a lot. So, you know, not a band I'm into. So I can't really say anything.
Gotcha. Here's what your number 4.
Number 5, you mean?
Five,
We're up
yeah.
to 5.
5. I'm sorry. Yep, 5. I'm sorry.
All right, now since Mark took my 6 feet under, I just thought of this one. Now this is the band I still like today, but most people fell off with them because they just put out some crappy records later on. Queensrÿche,
Oh,
because their later albums with Jeff Tate were not good, and I have them. But then when they got Todd LaTorre in the band, they went right back up again because
they
he's
did,
really
right?
good.
Yeah.
They sound more like Queensrÿche, and it's heavier, and they proved they could write songs without Jeff Tate. And I love Jeff Tate. Don't get me wrong. I've seen him live, but those last albums with him, between Operation Mindcrime 2, and then Dedicated to Chaos, which is just fucking awful. And I'm like, well, what are you doing? Like, I really want to experiment, but let's not get too far past to what you were. But a lot of bands get caught up in that. And they just want to experiment too much. And over experimentation cannot be good either.
I've said it before many times. I think Operation Mindcrime is one of the best metal records ever. Like I really believe that, and
Me too.
the Empire I love too. And a lot of people hate that record because they say it's so commercial, but I think the songs are so good on Empire. I really do.
Me too.
Catchy as hell, but after Empire, they really lost me.
Yeah, that's when they started going downhill a little bit.
Yeah.
But, what do you think?
What do you think of Queensrÿche, Mark?
I like the new singer that they have, like whatever he's put out. Like I remember listening to him once or twice, like with the new singer there. I like that. I took a listen to the Mindcrime, Operation Mindcrime, and everybody just says that's so odd. I just can't get into it.
Really?
I tried a couple times, yeah. Just couldn't get into it for some reason. I'll give it a try again. I'll keep trying.
I just think the
listen,
songs are so well written on Operation Mindcrime.
You should listen to the Todd LaTorre album. His solo album he put out a couple years ago. Did you listen to it?
Okay.
Yeah, no, solo album. It's heavy.
Yeah.
And he plays the drums on it too and sings, and I think it's just 2 guys in the band.
Is it called Todd LaTorre?
Yeah, hold on.
I never heard it. I got to listen to that.
I had to find it down here somewhere, but while you guys are talking, I'll look for it.
But yeah, give Operation Mindcrime another chance, Mark. I think that's a record. Once it clicks for you, you're gonna be like, damn, this is great.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that I just need to listen to it multiple times. And
yeah,
I same thing with Possessed. It took me so long to get Possessed. You know,
really? Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah. This is the album.
Okay.
It's really good. I mean, it's really heavy. You ever heard it? Give it a shot.
We'll listen to that right after this video.
Like I said, let me find the notes on it.
Oh yeah, that's the new singer, the new singer's album, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
he's got a new one coming out too.
That is a good album. I listen to that.
It's just he does the vocals. He does the vocals. He does the vocals and the drums, and this guy named Craig Blackwell does the guitars and bass and the keyboards. So it's just two guys doing the whole album. Pretty amazing, pretty heavy too. Good production.
Check it out. I'm excited to hear it.
So
I'll give you my last one here. I had Mötley Crüe on my list, but I did put a couple of extras on there just in case something like that happened. So I'm gonna go with Sepultura. Those old Sepultura albums, particularly Beneath the Remains and Arise, mean so much to me. Like as a budding teenager getting into thrash metal, I mean, Beneath the Remains really changed the way I looked at thrash metal and heavy metal in general. And it's such a mind-blowing record for me. And then to have them do Arise after that, which was definitely more of a thrash record than a death thrash record. Just it was all over the Headbangers Ball. I mean, Sepultura was on top of the world when Arise came out. And after that, they did what? Roots? No, Chaos AD, which I thought Chaos AD was good, not great. There was some good stuff on it. Thought it was like 50-50, and I know people love Chaos AD, and then they did, and I lost a little bit for Chaos AD. Then they did what, Roots after that?
Yeah, Roots is weird.
I listened to, I didn't hate it, but definitely wasn't Arise or Beneath the Remains. That's for damn sure. And they just lost me after that. Then Max left the band. He did Soulfly. I saw Soulfly live. I didn't like them. It's just a band I couldn't get into. I've seen them. They opened up for Slayer, as a matter of fact. But I never rekindled my love for Sepultura, like the after Max stuff. I just couldn't get into it. Derek, what's the name of the singer that took over for
Derek Green?
I just can't get into that Sepultura. I'm sorry. Maybe I should give it a chance. Like I've heard it here or there, but I don't know. It's not Sepultura to me.
No, so I have the first two albums with Derek Green, and they're just there are a couple of good tracks on it, and that's about it. But did you guys hear any of the re-recordings they did with the Cavalera stuff?
I like them. Yeah.
I only bought the one the EP Bestial Invasion or whatever. Or no, what the hell did that's what they call it? It was the one the EP that they did.
Yep.
That was good. That was the redone version is good, and I heard the other. I haven't heard the other ones though. Like
it's
Schizophrenia too.
Morbid Visions, and then they did Schizophrenia.
Yeah.
I think they came out good. I really do.
Yeah.
What do you think of Sepultura, Mark?
Oh man, the whole Max era, like that, the two brothers, like that was Sepultura, like right there. And then I tried to get into when they got the Derek Green era, like the first couple albums, and I was kind of like it got put off. I do like the last Sepultura album that came out. I think that came out in 2020. I thought that album was pretty good. But like, yeah, it's just the whole thing. To me, it's like the first albums there. That was Sepultura, like 100%. And then the whole middle stuff with Derek Green, like that whole era of Derek Green. They should have just changed the band. Like, I don't know.
I love that Max and Igor are kind of like back together again. Doing everything. But is Sepultura like the band officially done now? Like, what's going on with them? Are they like retired or?
This is their retirement to this tour.
Yeah. So I wonder who owns the rights to that name. I wonder if Max and Igor could like keep it going if they wanted to, and like do like a Sepultura like resurgence,
Yeah, I don't know. Well, didn't they started it with that Paulo, and they with Paulo Jr. whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Did they start that with him?
I think
because he's the only one original member is him in the band now. Is the bass player. because what's his name's not an original member. Andy Esquisto, he's
Andreas,
not an original member.
it's not an original.
Andres, he's not an original member. No. So I don't know why they can't just hash things out, just do like a reunion tour with the band before they can't do it anymore. You know,
I guess they could keep that
younger.
Cavalera name going. So they're releasing these. The title says Cavalera, but is it really Cavalera Conspiracy? Or they're just calling it Cavalera?
I never heard the Calvin conspiracy.
I don't even know.
From what I read from Max, like he said that he could have took in the name of Sepultura and everything. He could have, because like he started the band, like he could have took it on the, but I guess he just didn't want to do the whole court and just like kind of gave it like, here you guys go, and I'm gonna do my own thing, and
right.
You know, so I guess the whole court thing he just didn't want to be involved in. But he said that he could have like taken the name Sepultura himself and did that, right? So
he ended up leaving because there was a feud between the other band members and his wife or girlfriend, right? Is that right? I don't know if I remember something like that.
They wanted to do new management, and she was kind of like, well, like go with your band, and he was like, no, like you're my wife, like.
Yeah,
and they were dealing with a death in the family. Like, would have been his stepson. So her son got into like I think he got hit by a car or something like that, and then,
really,
yeah. So they were grieving that whole process. It was just like a lot was going on, you know. So just had this massive record that a death in the family happens. And then your band members are not understanding. They want to get new management, and you know he's married to her, and he's like, okay, like screw this, right? I'm gonna go with my wife, go with my family, and deal with this. And
I hope that Max and Igor continue to write music. Like I have a feeling that they're going to. So it'd be interesting to see what they come out with, like original stuff and how it sounds compared to the old Sepultura. You know.
I hope the sound that they've created, like these re-recordings, they could write new material with that sound that
yes, totally agree.
Like that would be really cool.
Spot on.
Yeah, I hope they don't try to redo Arise though, because you can't really do that any better. You can't do that any better.
You can't redo that record, but
no.
It's.
No,
so I did have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't know if you guys wrote any other bands down, but I have a couple here that I just want to throw out, and it's one of them is the elephant in the room that nobody else mentioned that I'm going to bring up, and that's Metallica. I thought that at least one of you guys would put Metallica on there. That band meant so much to everybody back in the day, and how they switched it up. You know, I don't know how you guys feel about Metallica. Metallica definitely fits that bill for me.
I still like Metallica. I like the last couple albums. I still like when they went Death Magnetic. They got more thrashy. I thought that was much better. But then I see people got off it with Load and Reload, especially with Saint Anger, which was just awful. But they got back to the roots a little bit, but they still got a little bit overblown. The album's too long, you know. But they do what they do, you know. But I have nothing against them. I saw them live. They were still great live. They still play the old classics. Doesn't they ignore their past or anything. So. But I get why you picked that. That's a good pick, though.
Metallica was once your band, but now they're everybody's band. So that's out the
window. Yeah.
I wrote down Gwar. I don't know how you guys feel about Gwar, but I feel like after Dave Brocky's passing, Gwar is a shell of what they were. I know they've put out a couple of records since he's passed away, and they're just not the same without him. He made Gwar. I mean, I have not seen Gwar without him yet. And I don't know if I would go, honestly. I mean, it wouldn't be the same show, you know. So Gwar is definitely on mine. I don't know how you guys feel about Gwar, if you're a fan at all.
Not really.
Yeah, I never got into them.
But seeing them live would be incredible. I heard they put on a great show.
Yeah.
So back in the day, they were like, you know, the thing to see. You know?
I've seen them 100 times, and they were so much fun every time I saw them. You know. Skid Row is another band I wrote down. You know, I think those first two Skid Row records are mind-blowing records, just so good.
Oh yeah.
And after that, they did Subhuman Race, which I thought was kind of awful. It was kind of that mid-90s garbage that everybody was spewing out at the time. Like I felt like Skid Row left what they were doing to kind of fit in what was going on. I hated that, you know.
Yeah.
Mötley Crüe did the same thing with that self-titled record. A lot of bands did that.
Yeah.
And Skid Row, I think, could have been one of the greatest bands of all time. Like, I mean that 100%. If they could have just kept going and stayed on that path, they had the potential, they had the talent, they had the front man.
Yeah.
I felt like that's a band that I did love at one point and quickly fell out of, you know, in the mid-90s.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And then throw this one out there too. Another one I wrote down is Metal Church. You know, I loved, you know, all the old Metal Church stuff. It's a band that I did love as they went on. When Mike Howe was out of the band, I know he went back into the band eventually, but they had a few singers there in the middle, and a lot of those mid Metal Church records are just, you know. But the old stuff is great. So that's another band I kind of wrote down too.
That's a great one.
How would you categorize Metal Church?
They're not a thrash band. I know like people like to throw them in the thrash categories, particularly with the early stuff, but I think they were a metal band that had, you know, some thrash thrown in here or there, but I never really considered them a thrash band. They were kind of like a metal band with like some thrash influence, or, you know, that's kind of how I viewed them.
Gotcha. I agree.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah.
Any
other bands you guys want to throw in there that you maybe thought of?
The only one I thought I'm looking at it now. It's an older band from the 70s, Nazareth. I don't know if you know anything about that. Hair of the Dog, you know.
Only,
you know, Hair of the Dog?
Love Hurts.
Now you're messing with a son of a bitch in that song.
Is that the song?
That's
Love
Nazareth?
Hurts or something like that?
Love Hurts. But they were a pretty heavier band back in the 70s. When they progressed out to the 80s, it started getting more softer and kind of ruined it for me, you know. But I like their early stuff. And yeah, so it's an old band, but I like a lot of the old 70s stuff. And do you think anything else comes to mind, really?
Yeah,
How about you, Mark?
Another band that I wrote down was just in case is Amon Amarth. I think their first, you know, they were into that melodic death metal kind of wave, and then they kind of been writing the same album over and over, just kind of like you knew what you were going to get, and people
love Amon Amarth. I don't get it, you know. I've never jumped on that, you know, Viking boat for Amon Amarth, you know. So
Viking boat.
Yeah, it's just like it was kind of cool in the beginning, and then it's just like it just became.
People do that in their crowd, like they'll sit down like they're in a big ass canoe and they'll start rowing in the crowd.
Yeah, you see that?
It's the fucking most insane thing I've ever seen.
They sit down on the floor and everything. They sit down on the floor and everything. Start rowing. It's like, what? Stop it.
So there we go. That's gonna wrap it up. This was a lot of fun. So these are 5 bands each that we loved at one point, but not so much now. Not that we hate the bands now, we just kind of fell out of love with them. So you guys out there, you let us know what bands that you loved at one point, what you think of them now. You know, if any bands, list them below. Let us know what you think. And hails to these guys for coming on and having some fun. Mark, your channel is Metal Never Dies. Tell us about your channel and what you're doing over there.
Just do some metal reviews, just try to have some fun with it, do some rankings with certain albums, certain genres of metal, just having fun with it.
I gotta get caught up on your videos, man. I've been watching much of anything lately. I just don't have the time, but I'm gonna get caught up.
But yeah, just try to talk about metal, just review some albums, rank some albums, and just have fun with this, right? So that's
what it's all about.
Exactly.
Hey, yep. Mark, you doing any more music for your band or what?
We do have like 4 songs during the demo era, I guess you can say, the demo form. We do have 1 song that we're going to be hopefully releasing before the end of the year. We're just all very, very busy. Hopefully next year we'll have a new EP, a new 4 or 5 song.
Last one was good. I have to see it. It's hanging over here. And see my I got the picture right there.
Right there. Oh, there. Yes.
Underneath. Yeah, there you go.
Well, you sent me the one EP, Mark. Dude, that EP is really good. For anybody who don't know, Mark's band is Aquila, Aquila, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
So check them out, man. You guys got a Bandcamp. You can go on and buy some CDs, right? Yeah.
CDs and stuff. Oh yeah.
I will link that below. I'll link Mark's channel and I'll link the
Cool.
Aquila Bandcamp below. So please go on there and check them out.
Thank you.
What's going on with George G's Room of Rock?
Well, I just did my Exodus ranking yesterday.
I saw that this morning. I'm gonna watch it today.
It's that people got mixed reviews because it's the maybe like but certain albums I like better than others that people may be surprised that I like better. But
yeah,
so I gotta say the Rob Dukes era is growing on me though.
Yeah.
So
you should have met me. You should have met me at that show at Dingbats. You would enjoyed yourself.
I should have. I know.
That would have made you an instant Dukes era Exodus fan.
I'm sure. No, but the albums grew on me. I was listening to Shovelhead Kill Machine yesterday. I'm like, this is really good. I mean, it's really. I didn't like it the first 2 months, and I'm like, listen, it's good. It fits the music. They're definitely much heavier when they got them in the band. Definitely more thrashier. Yeah.
I would think you'd be more of an Exhibit B guy. Like some of those tracks on Exhibit B are just monsters. Ballad of Leonard.
You have to watch the ranking to find out.
I'm gonna. Class Dismissed. Oh man, so good. So there you have it. On behalf of George's Room of Rock, Mark, Metal Never Dies. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thank you, buddy.
And we'll see you guys again real soon. Have a killer rest of your weekend.
You too, man. Take care.
You too.
Take care, George.